Section 2.1, Frequency Distributions. There's quite a bit of terminology associated with frequency distributions. A frequency distribution is a display of the values that occur in a dataset and how often each value or range of values occurs. So we'll work on creating these by hand and using Excel. The frequencies are how often the data value or a data value within a certain range occurs in a frequency distribution. A class is the category of data in the frequency distribution. So it could be a range of values or it could be a certain categorical variable, which we'll talk more about later. An ungrouped frequency distribution is a frequency distribution where each category or class represents a single value. Quite often we'll see grouped frequency distributions where each class is a range of possible values. For instance, here is a frequency distribution for grades in applied statistics. Note that this is ungrouped because we have a single value for each class, A, B, C, D, and F. If you wanted a grouped example, you might include the range of percentages like 70 to 79%, 80 to 89%, and so forth. The classes are a single grade that can be earned in the course, and the frequency is how many students earned that particular grade. We're going to work through an example of constructing a frequency distribution by hand and then recreate that using Excel. The first step is to determine the number of classes that should be in a distribution, or quite often I actually begin with step 2, which is to determine the width of the distribution. Here, in this case, we're asked to create a frequency distribution using 5 classes, so we don't have to determine that value for ourselves. We're asked to use 5 classes for the list of 3D TV prices given in the table. Keep in mind, you should typically have between 5 and 20 classes. I would even say between 5 and 10 classes, depending on the size of your data set. The next step is to choose an appropriate class width. So in some cases, it's quite obvious. One method that you can use is to subtract the lowest data value from the highest data value and then take that difference divided by the number of classes. So in this case, 1999 minus 1595 is about 404 divided by 5. That gives us a class width of 80.8 or about 81. But using a class width of 81 really doesn't make sense because I would have to start at 1595 and then add 81 to that, and then add 81 to that value, and then add 81 and so forth. So instead, it makes more sense to use a class width of 100. So 1500 to 1599, 1600 to 1699, and so forth. Now we need to find the class limits, which is the lower class limit and upper class limit, or the lowest value that can belong to a particular class and the largest value that can belong to a class. Now we can use just the minimum data value, but a lot of this will depend on our class width. We have chosen a class width of 100, so it would make sense instead of starting at the lowest value at 1595, with a width of 100, it would make more sense to say 1500 to 1599, 1600 to 1699, and so forth for our classes. Now that we have our classes, all we have to do is determine the frequency. So typically you would do this with an unordered data set. You would just tally in each class as you went along. Now we're fortunate enough to have an ordered array, which means that the values go from least to greatest. So instead, I'm simply going to count. How many of my data values are between 1500 and 1599? Well, I can see that I've got 1595 and I've got 1599. So that's 2. So I'm going to enter a frequency of 2 for the first class. I'll continue that for 1600 to 1699, and I can see I've got 1685 and then several instances of 1699 for a total of 5. Continuing that process from 1700 to 1799, I have a frequency of 4. From 1800 to 1899, I have a frequency of 5, and from 1900 to 1999, I have a frequency of 4. Now, everything in this example worked out well, But it's important to understand what a class boundary is. So a class boundary is the value that lies halfway between the upper limit of one class and the lower limit of the next class. So it represents the cutoff value. So anything 1599.5 and less would belong in the 1500 to 1599 class, and anything 1599.5 and greater would end up in the next class up, the 1600 to 1699. So again, to determine that class boundary, you're just going to add the upper limit of one class to the lower limit of the next class and divide by 2, and that's going to give you the average of those two values, which will be your class boundary. Another characteristic is the class midpoint. I'll be honest that we don't use this one much, but your work in Hawks might ask you to determine a class midpoint. And to do that, you're just going to take the lower limit of a class plus the upper limit of a class and divide by 2. Another characteristic that you will use quite often is the relative frequency. So this is just the fraction or percentage, typically percentage, of the data that falls into a particular class. And to find that, we're just going to take the class frequency divided by the total sample size. So if you don't already know the sample size, you can certainly add the class frequencies. In the example that we've been working through, that would be 20. And then you'll take each class frequency and divide it by 20. So for instance, our first class had a class frequency of 2, so the relative frequency would be 2 divided by 20, which is 0.1 or 10%. The final characteristic of a frequency distribution is the cumulative frequency, which is really just to add up all of the frequencies of a given class along with the previous classes. So the final class should have a cumulative frequency that equals the sample size. So let's begin to construct a frequency table or a frequency distribution in Excel. In Excel, this is called a pivot table. So I'm going to highlight my data in column A, and I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to choose Tables and Pivot Table. Sometimes you can just see Pivot Table on the left-hand side. Notice because I highlighted before I clicked Pivot Table, my input value is already there. And then I'm going to go to Existing Worksheet and choose the location of C1 because that's what we're asked to do. So go to C1 and notice I now have what looks like the start of a pivot table. Then I'm going to take 3D TV prices and go to rows and also to values. So now what I want you to see is on the left-hand side, it's got different values. And then on the right-hand side, it's got a sum. I don't want a sum. I want the frequency or how often something occurs. So before I click out of that, I'm going to choose the drop down. And I know you can't see it on your screen, but I go all the way down to where it says Value Field Settings. And notice here, I'm just going to choose Count instead of Sum. So now I'm close, but I've got a couple of things that I want to do. First of all, I want to use the same classes that I used when I created this by hand. So I want it to go start at 1500 and I want it to go all the way to 1999. And so I'm going to right click. And if you right click and you don't see group, it's quite possible you're not using a full version of Excel. So if you try to use Excel online or you try to use Excel on a Chromebook or on a mobile device, you might not have this option, in which case you're going to need to get your hands on the full version of Excel. If you are one of my students, you can go into your course and find the virtual display, which will let you basically log into a virtual machine. But I'm going to assume you're able to figure out how to get a full version of Excel. Notice here I'm going to start at, and I want the first one to be 1500. So it's okay that I don't have the checkbox because I've decided that it's going to start at 1500. And then it already chose 100 for me, but if it didn't, I would enter 100 there, and then I'll click OK. Now it's almost where I want it to be, but as you can see, my very first class says less than 1500 or blank, and I don't want it to show that. So I'm going to choose the little arrow, And I'm going to uncheck the box next to less than 1500 or blank. And now I have my frequency distribution in Excel. Now, we already have our correct frequency table. There are a few other things that we can do. We can obviously change the titles just by clicking the text within the title. So if you wanted to change that to something more descriptive than row labels, like 3D TV prices, and then count, I'm just going to call frequency. Double clicked on it, so it opened this, but I can change it here or there. So as we can see now, it looks a little bit better. I can also create a column of relative frequency. So again, I'm just going to click on my pivot table. I'm going to drag 3D TV prices down again. And then when I do that, again, I'm going to go to value field settings, and I'm going to choose percent of grand total. So show values as, and then show values as no calculation. I'm going to choose percent of grand total and click OK. And notice it has now the percent of grand total. And of course, I could have changed some of that as well to make it a whole number and so forth. I can have a cumulative sum. So again, I can add another column. And this time for value field settings, I'm going to choose show values as running total in. And I'm going to go until I find that, running total in, and then click OK. So again, now that's a cumulative. And again, I would go up here and change this to cumulative, relative frequency, and so forth. And then I can do the exact same thing to change the value field settings to show values as percent running total in, if I wanted a percent instead. So value field settings, and then show values as percent running total in, and click OK. And then I can see that my pivot table now has a frequency, has a relative frequency, has a cumulative frequency, and a relative cumulative frequency. So that is all of the fun things that you can do within Excel. If you would, try this one on your own before you go through the video walkthrough. You are to create a pivot table and use a lower boundary of 0 and a bin width of 2 for the number of miles a BU student drives to get to campus. So again, I'm going to select column A, go to Insert, Tables, Pivot Table. I'm going to choose my existing worksheet and C1. And then I'm going to drag BU miles to rows and to values. And again, I can see that it's a bit of a mess right now, but I am going to change this to count. So value field settings is going to change to count. And then I'm going to right click and go to group. I'm going to choose starting at 0, lower boundary of 0, and then going by 2. So a bin width of 2, and click OK. And then I'm going to remove the or blank by clicking on the drop down and unchecking the box next to or blank. And this is the correct pivot table. Again, I could change this to miles driven and frequency, but you get the idea. This is how you would create that pivot table.